It's time for another one of these historical battles. So I've done all of the base historical battles, they're standalone, and now we're returning to the historical campaigns, and I've already done one with Poitiers. I did them a bit out of order, but we're going to continue and go through them more or less in order, I think, and that means we're going to be doing Crecy, 1346. The Hundred Years' War was fought by England and France from 1337, nice, to 1457. Although warfare was by no means continuous during this period, English kings felt that they had good claims to much of France and even to the French throne. Most of the fighting took place on French soil, but there were occasional attacks on English coastal towns by French raiders. When there was fighting, it was bloody and often merciless. The French nobility regarded war as their vocation and were horrified to be confronted and beaten by lesser but more professional English soldiers. The three battles in this campaign show the differences in war-making between the English and the French. By 1420, the English, under their finest warrior king Henry V, had very nearly achieved their goals. But even victories at Crécy, Poitiers and Agincourt would not be quite enough. As a historical aside, I don't like that shit. The English owe their traditional two-fingered gesture of contempt to the Hundred Years' War. The French threatened to cut off the first two fingers of any longbowman they captured, thus crippling the man as a warrior. Waving two fingers at the French thus became a way of defying them and daring them to come and make good their threats of mutilation. Yep. So this is the first battle of this campaign. I like this feature. It's kind of a shame that they removed it and they went more onto the... Well, they did try and pivot to multiplayer, but they went more to the campaign and especially the turn-based strategy side. So it's Edward the Black Prince against King Philip II. Crecy was the opening battle of Edward the Black Prince's assault on Normandy, one of the early campaigns of the Hundred Years' War. The French had been careful to avoid battle with the tactically superior English, but at Crecy they had the advantage of numbers and, apparently, better morale too. Edward chose a defensive position for his army and waited for the French attack. After exchanges between the English longbow and the French crossbows, the French knights lost patience and charged forwards. They even managed to trample their own crossbowmen. With little discipline, the French were cut down in droves, and French knighthood lost its bravest and best. Conditions: you have to make sure that you protect your general and he does not get killed. You also must then defeat the French attacks on your position. And to do this we have a few units of cavalry, quite a lot in fact, some longbows and mostly spears with a couple of units of swords. Here we go. This one's going to be fast. I'm going to try and keep up the pace with the commentary. We get attacked first on the right side. We have 4 enemy units there, 2 cavalries, 1 unit of swords, 1 unit of bows. I need to set up my groups. I need to get ready to withdraw the 2 units of mine that are entangled with the 4 units on the right. So I just immediately click for them to do that. Then I get ready with my cavalry and my bows to react. The spears are meant to block their cavalry so I can get effective shots or charges into them. That's what the spears are really for here. They can't kill cavalry, but what they can do is stop it dead in its tracks, so you can just pepper it with bows or get a nice clean flank charge in it while it's static and incapacitated, neutralised. Pulling the peasants out of the way. They're just there to add numbers, but I don't think I even need them in this fight. Yeah, so my 2 units have almost made it to behind my line. I've got 2 units of spears that are well in the front. They're going to arrive much quicker than the other 2 units of spears, the full 60-man units, so they're going to be a block. My cavalry's there to protect my bows just in case one of these cavalry units pulls off and tries to get a cheeky flank charge into me. But it seems like I have deterred their cavalry, and that's another thing spears do, deter. Even if they don't paralyse an enemy cavalry unit, they can deter a charge and allow you time to do this damage with bows. I've already stretched all my bows out and I've got them firing. And now my other 2 units of spears are arriving. So I've got this contingent on the right handled mostly. I'm trying to redirect some of my fire to the rear cavalry unit and position to block with my rear spears on the left. So It seems like they're between a lot of spears, so I should be able to outnumber them with spears and block and deal with them. They're going for a little bit of a flank charge, but this shouldn't be that bad. I've managed to rotate in time, and I can now commit my cavalry and begin my big sweeping cavalry manoeuvres. Alright, so now my cavalry's committed, I want to pull my bows off and start firing at the main army. So this is 2 units of cavalry, one's running away, the other one is surrounded and getting charged. It should rout. Just having good positioning makes all the difference in this game, it's great. It's great when a game feels like this, where the positioning actually matters, you know? This unit of swords is going to be tough, but if I can rout it by routing all the cavalry and flanking it, then that should mostly deal with it. That's a full unit of about 50 or 60 swordsmen, and they're running, and now the crossbows behind should run as well, and the cavalry's fleeing at the back. So I've managed to break this side contingent, and this is great because it means my cavalry can continue to flank the main force while their routing units run past. I can now commit all of my units. My small general unit can clean up the crossbows. My longbows have weakened the general, and I've got cavalry charging into it, and their units are fleeing, so I've managed to possibly break the whole army just like that. Holy shit. That's a full army fleeing, and I could run it down if the battle didn't end, but look at that, 62 losses. KD is only 2, but I would have had a KD of about 10 or 20 or whatever their army is. Right, there's live commentary. Man, that is so clean. Jesus. Every unit above half, barely touched on the general. Cavalry largely untouched. Spears intact. Infantry totally intact. Not a single loss on the archers. Beautiful. Full cavalry unit as well. Oh man, that is nice. 10% of my casualties were friendly fire, holy shit. 3 minutes! A 3-minute fight, my god. 62 losses, what the fuck. That's basically a speedrun. Incredible. On top of just no losses, really. Really nice. See you in the next one. If you appreciate my work and want to support it, because of course it is not at all subsidised by shilling or bribes, then check out my Patreon page. I do my best to give out perks and give updates on what I'm thinking and what I've got planned. Special thanks to Nathan Black and Badr Nasser.